there was a recent story that was given to me that I found really interesting, and I've heard many success stories, but this one interests me for two particular reasons, and I want to talk about it. And it was given to me because I'm involved in it to a degree. And unlike other success stories, I think this one really embodies the idea that one should imagine, even though things might have already worked out, one should imagine the end regardless. And you should always be practicing using your imagination for your fulfillment. So I'm just going to read the message verbatim. I'm going to keep it anonymous, just like all the other ones. I've kept them anonymous. So I'm just going to continue with that theme. But I want to read this. I found this very interesting. So this person bought my book, and they had a success story around buying my book. So this person messaged me, and they say, "I forgot to tell you this. When your new book, No One to Change But Self, came out, I ordered it, but it got lost in the mail. I did everything I could in the world of Caesar to get it back. I checked with my neighbors, and I contacted Amazon, and they did send me a replacement. But then I decided to imagine having 2 copies of your book. I imagined holding 2 copies and how I would feel. I just let it go and didn't think about it again. 4 weeks later, a stranger was outside by some apartments I live by, and he told me that he used to live by me. And he said, 'I'm sorry I took your package,' and I just felt guilty. Even though I live almost 100 miles away and moved, something told me I needed to give it back to you. And he drove almost 2 hours to return it." And they write, "Just by imagining and not worrying about how or when, and just feeling I was the person with 2 books, the man was felt obligated to return it. And now I have 2 copies of your book. Thanks for your books and sharing your knowledge." Now, this is an interesting success story to me because of the person actually feeling guilt. That this stranger 100 miles away was contacted internally to return the book to this person, even though no words were really uttered to him to return it. Something told him to do it. Now, there's a lot to say about this success story because the person who imagined having 2 copies wasn't trying to get a stranger to return it to him. The person was unaware that anyone even took it. So they're not living life in that awareness. They're just living the awareness that they have 2 copies. And I'm sure it could have came differently, but it came in a way where the person felt guilt and drove 100 miles away because something in them told them to return it. What was that something? It was the person who imagined having 2 books. That's what the something was. And then things were rearranged in the same world. The same thief. Everything was rearranged. Now the thief is no longer a thief. Returned it to the person. And now that person has duplicated the image that was inside their imagination. Because inside their imagination they had 2 copies. And then that got duplicated in this world. And it used the same person that we would call a thief to fulfill it. Now, you can take this story and duplicate it, not with my book, with anything else in the world. And if you notice, the person treated this very lightly. They imagined having 2 copies and went about their day. They just they felt how it would feel to have 2 copies. They felt that feeling of being the one who has 2. And then went about their day. And then something compelled this individual who stole it to give it back, to fulfill those 2 copies. And could the person have said, "Well, Amazon gave me a replacement. I don't need to do anything more than that. They already gave me the replacement." I'm sure they could. I'm sure they could just have let it go and just moved on. But why not just try to use your imagination? That's why I like this story, because it's actually in those cases too that you could use it. Even the ones that you think, well, I can just go, get a replacement, or I could just do this. And then we don't really use the imagination. But this is a good illustration of you should use it even when you don't think you have to. If you feel like you could have got a replacement, but you want 2 copies, why not just imagine having 2? Let the world be compelled to move. And if someone needs to feel guilt, they'll feel guilt. If someone needs to drive 100 miles away, they'll drive 100 miles away. And And the person apologized, said, "I'm sorry I took your package. I just felt guilty. And even though I live 100 miles away and moved, something told me I needed to give it back to you." And so he drove almost 2 hours to return it. I find this story so fascinating. It's not about my book. It's not about the book. It's about the idea that someone imagined having something. And someone who in this world stole it from them felt the urge. Something spoke to them without words and compelled them to give it back. And so you just take this story and try to apply it. The same way this person started to imagine themselves having 2 books. You imagine having something else. Maybe you don't want 2 books and you want something else. You imagine that. Let the world develop it. Neville used to say, I used to imagine, he took the idea when when photography was getting more popular in his time, the idea of developing film. He goes, I just take pictures in my mind and I let the world develop it. And so he took that analogy of a photograph and applied it to his imagination. Now, I think of it a little bit differently. In my mind, this person imagined having 2 copies inside themselves. The inner man has 2 copies, and they just associated themselves with that inner man who has 2 copies. And then they became that inner man eventually through the means of this person feeling guilt and driving 100 miles away. Because there's been times where I didn't use the law because I didn't think I had to, or it just didn't feel necessary. But that's not really, I noticed that wasn't beneficial for me. It was more beneficial for me to imagine throughout my entire life, in all aspects, even in ones where I don't think I need it. Especially when things become mundane, you feel like you don't need to do it anymore. But you should try. You should just try. Even if you are going to get a replacement, just try to keep imagining. So yeah, I found the story. I wonder what you guys think about the story. It's definitely fascinating because it makes you wonder about, well, if there's no one to change but self, then I don't need to really know what to do. I don't need to compel the stranger or the thief to give it back. I don't even have to know if there was a thief. I don't even have to know where they're located. Do you see how this opens the door to, it's all about focusing on yourself, seeing yourself the way you want to be, and you continue in that, rather than trying to change everyone around you. And you see this a lot with the SP crowd. They want to change everyone around them. Really in all facets, but mainly I see it there too, because it's a big popular sphere in the Neville community. But notice how this person didn't change anyone. They just imagined themselves having what they wanted, rather than, and they had no information on it. You didn't need it. It's like when Neville said, someone came up to me and told me that their stomach was hurting. He goes, I know nothing about a stomach and how it works. And yet I just imagine them telling me that their stomach is fine. And then like a week later, the person told them that their whatever problem they had in their stomach is gone. He goes, but I don't know how a stomach works. He admitted, ignorance. And it's okay to have ignorance. It's just that, what are you imagining? You don't have to know. The person said, I didn't know the when or the how. I didn't think about the when or the how. I just made it simple and applied it. So the same can be true in every facet. You don't need all the information. You just need to apply it. And applying it is imagining yourself the way you want to be. And treat it very lightly. Try not to put a lot of pressure on yourself. Just try to treat it very, lightly is the best word. Neville said that when I'm most aware of my pressures, that's when I let go. And so sometimes we grip on when we feel pressure. I know I do. But Neville says he lets go. It's like one big relief for him. It's like a relief when he realizes he has pressure. And so that's how he rearranges himself. And so, I just wanted to share this. I thought this was a very interesting story. It's one to really contemplate on and really think about. Because, not many thieves have something in them that tells them, something in me told me I needed to return it to you. That doesn't often happen. And so I don't find this to be a coincidence at all. And so I just wanted to share that story. I found it very interesting. And yeah, my books are out. I do one-on-ones as well. Just email me if you are interested. You'll get an automated message telling you all the details about that. I also do live streaming for the members, where I just kind of talk a little bit deeper on these topics. And I do Q&As as well. And yeah, feel free to message me any of your guys' success stories if you want them to be read on here as well. I don't mind keeping things anonymous. It doesn't, we can keep things anonymous. But yeah, I appreciate you guys. Thank you for giving me your time, and take care.